fellow speedsters, Arrowites, nerds, and all the people I've known to love over this very awesome YouTube journey. Spider-Man and Mr. Dark Phoenix here bringing you another episode of The Comic Stand, my much anticipated and much asked for Barry Allen / Flash theories and what I expect from the Flash show, what the Flash show could be. To commemorate the occasion, I have these. As you can see, I've got my Barry Allen rings. And if you know what they came from, like and leave a comment, because I love you by default, especially my Flash one. It's on my wrong finger, but that's where I wear my rings, so I can't really fault that. But moving on, Barry Allen has had his 2-episode run on Arrow. I say only 2 because they were going to have a 3rd episode that was going to focus around him and be the backdoor pilot for the show coming out in 2015. But unfortunately, since the show's already been greenlit for a whole series, I'm not sure if they're going to still do the 3rd episode about him, or if they're just going to maybe leave it. I mean, if he signed a contract for 3 episodes, then we're going to get another episode later on. So I'm not sure if maybe he'll just come back and help, and then the pilot can be a flashback toward his journey to that, or a flash forward or something. But I'm not really sure what's going to go on, but he's had his 2-episode run, and that was pretty much it for the most part, unfortunately. But maybe, who knows, we'll see him before the season ends. But I just want to give you guys a couple of key things. Basically my theories on Barry Allen and Flash, and basically what I think the Flash show could be. And let's just get right into it. Basically, this is one of those shows where the CW can really let loose on its comedic side, its light side, because he's not like, you know, like your Arrow or like your Batman, where he needs to be like realistic and toned down and with the dark tendencies. Barry Allen's likable, he's funny, he's fun, he's all of that other stuff. He's really social and active, so I feel like the show can be less more on the dark tone and basically a little comedic with, since he's a forensic scientist, be more smart and sciencey and comedy-wise. So I'm thinking this show could be like a mixture of CSI with the science stuff and the smart stuff and the, you know, crime scenes and the investigations, and with a little bit of hint of comedy like on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Cop show, drama, funny, all that good stuff. And I think it'll be really good to introduce a more humorous, lighter side of your universe, because so far you've been pretty dark. I'm pretty sure people like fun at DC, so let's make this show a little more light, a little more fun and funny. Since Barry Allen is a forensic scientist, that automatically makes him incredibly smart. One of the things that Batman respects about him, actually, because he and him can talk about crime scenes and, you know, all that smart stuff. The show can focus on his intellect as well as his super speed, basically giving him a map, basically giving him like a double-sided, you know, means of expertise. His human side, where he's really smart, and his superhuman side. And he'll only need to be smart on the field, but work on his superpowered duties, thus making cases and the murders and what he needs to investigate really mind-boggling. Since he can be in 2 places at once, it'd be really interesting to see how they can portray him as the speedster and also as the forensic scientist who investigates everything faster than everybody else can. During the same time as Arrow, I hope that the show takes place. That way they can mold and, you know, bring the DC universe closer together, because honestly that's what DC really needs. That's their biggest advantage they have right now, is that all their properties are owned by Warner Brothers. So if Henry Cavill wanted to show up, he could. If Arrow wanted to show up, then he's more than welcome to, and vice versa, and all that good stuff. So I hope that this show takes place during the same time as Arrow, so we can just have people walk in and out and just basically, you know, prove that, you know, cameos are really useful in what we need to do. Jay Garrick can be a really big introduction. He can be introduced as a role model, like in the comics, and as planned. And occasionally he can help him out if he gets a little too flustered with his newfound super speed. And eventually he will train him on how to control himself and how to basically run fast, but in a straight line instead of struggling and all that stuff. But Jay Garrick, in his appearance, is necessary and crucial to the whole show, in my opinion. Much like Arrow, you need to have a really crucial and big supporting cast. Like, nobody ever would have thought that, you know, his family would have played such a big role on the show. And I love Thea, and I love his mom and everybody else. So for Barry Allen, we need to have a little bit of that also, like his own little supporting cast of characters. I'm not sure how they would introduce Wally and Bart but I'm pretty sure they would show up afterwards. So just show him with like a little bit of supporting cast, you know, friend in the, you know, Justice Department or something, or you know, somebody that can help him get stuff done behind the closed doors, and somebody that can, you know, be by his side always. Like, you know, Diggle is to Arrow, and Diggle is really popular now because he's in the comic books. So just give us a really strong supporting actor to support him, and we'll be good in that, just to see how well we can do all of that. Another character they could mention and bring into is Elongated Man, seeing as how he is a very skilled detective, and compared to with Batman only because of, they're only different because of how they think, kind of like a Sherlock Holmes and something kind of thing. Like, they both think differently, but they're both really great detectives. Since Barry is a forensic scientist, Elongated Man could basically know who he is and basically offer to help him and, you know, drink the magical soda that makes him stretch, because that's how he stretches. He's a great detective. Let's just go with that. Another character they can bring in, and they can revamp Tina McGee, a long-assumed love interest, but not really. Her inclusion in the show could basically be like his best friend, or somebody that he can confide in as Barry when things get too rough as the Flash, or anything like that. But also the really cool thing about her is that they can show and give light to a possible villain organization such as Star Labs, since she happens to work for them, and she can work for them. So basically she could help Barry and the Flash, but help Flash without knowing. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could basically be like, you know, and plus she helps him control his powers a little bit. So that would be a good help also, since, you know, your best friend can help you do a lot of stuff. And she could also provide intel regarding Star Labs and basically trying to help him as the Flash. Villains they could introduce and use at first would be the Red Trinity, which were a team of Russian, emotionally and really belligerent superheroes, and Barry can deal with all the Star Lab experiments that they want to try and get to him, and just try and do the right thing, but they're really aggressive. So of course Barry would have to eventually stop them, and that would add, of course, more Star Labs, and that would add more drama, and that would add a lot to how Barry becomes a hero that we all know and love. Since I, and probably a lot of many others, don't want Felicity to leave Arrow, we're probably going to need Iris on the show, because, yeah, she's much needed, and other love interests they can add are Patty Spivot, and maybe they can add somebody new, or they can give him his own little tech geek. I recommend Chloe from 24, because she's awesome as a tech geek. Speaking of Iris, soon enough, after the show starts to warm up and we get comfortable with everything, her and Barry grow closer, and her nephew can make some appearances, much like the Roy on Arrow, and her nephew is none other than Wally West, who becomes the second Flash, and who could eventually help him, and Flash references, and more Flash references, and Wally references up the Flash wazoo. Another really big crucial part of Barry Allen was his invention of the Cosmic Treadmill, which can be really influential on the show, because he can go through time, and with that alone opens endless possibilities of all kinds of time and universes that he can go to. Basically, with that invention of the Cosmic Treadmill alone, we can go to the past, we can go to universes, we can go to different timelines. We can basically, like, one episode, it'll be like a 2 or 3 part episode where he hijacks Green Arrow and they go to, like, the past to find out something, or he accidentally goes back to the past where Ollie was on the island and we find out even more stuff about him, or we go back in the, or even we go in the future of a doomed DC universe and Barry tries to stop it or tries to prevent it or something. But just the possibilities of where we can go because of the Cosmic Treadmill will be endless. And that'll be a really great thing to add on this show, because not a lot of shows have done that yet. So I think that would be a really great thing to add on that show. Mentioning time travel, actually, speaking of which, we can also be free to introduce Bart Allen, who basically used the Cosmic Treadmill to go back in time to stop his future from happening. So maybe if Barry in the present accidentally goes too far in the future, Bart can come into his time and keep Central City safe while he's away. And basically introduce him, but then by the time Barry comes back to find who's saving the city, Bart leaves. Or it's just like, you know, like a really big tease that, you know, he was there and he was keeping the city safe and that he leaves and all that stuff. But basically, like I said, time is endless, and so are the possibilities. Flash's rogue gallery is really unique, and none of them are the same, and they eventually join up, led by Captain Cold, and it's kind of like a Sinister Six to Spider-Man almost, because they all join together with their basic, hatred of him and wanting to defeat him and everything. And the show could definitely keep him on his toes with all the villains that he has. I mean, he has other villains. He's got Mirror Master, Weather Wizard, Captain Boomerang, Captain Cold, like I said, the Trickster, Heatwave, Golden Glider. Even in the first episode, for a really big comedy twist, they can add the Turtle Man, because that was technically his first villain. So they could even add him. And, whether or not his biggest villain, who is Professor Zoom, could be added. Whether he's a good influence turned bad, like Dr. Octopus, or whether he's just somebody in the shadows in the background, basically learning about his new enemy so that he can eventually defeat him once and for all, would be something really good to add, because then we could just see more of, another speedster who's really evil, who wants to take over the world but has to do it slowly and stuff like that. To connect the shows, basically Amanda Waller was mentioned in Arrow, so we can have her slide off into that now that we have more costumed vigilantes and more costumed superheroes. So they're going to need more defenses, which means that we could introduce Argus and her organization, and possibly maybe even reference the Suicide Squad. Maybe she'll need them to take on everybody else, but who knows? With the bigger picture of villains that we've been trying to get to with TV shows, we can always there's never not enough that we can add. Abracadabra, being a mystical and magical villain, can also be added, and also introduce another character and other heroes to the show, like Zatanna, because she knows and sees that there's magic being used, and so she'll help Barry Allen to get rid of that. And I really hope they bring back Serinda Swan, who played her in Smallville, to come back, because I thought she was a really great Zatanna. And, you can introduce other heroes to help him also. His villains are also known to band together, like I mentioned before. And, they've been doing great on the combination of who they really are and all that stuff. Like, imagine, like, Captain Boomerang and Captain Cold coming together, like a boomerang coming one way, you're trying to shoot at your feet and you're trying to do a lot of other stuff. Their combinations they work really well together, which will have to have Barry Allen, outsmart them like he's so good at doing, and that can add a lot more character development and how Barry can be more effective on the battlefield versus, having to always, take on one enemy at a time. And much like on Arrow, we can have other villains from other heroes' rogue galleries come on the show, like Dr. Light, or Mad Hatter, or Knockout, Electrocutioner, and Dwarfster, Lady Vic, and even Deadshot. Deadshot would be more than happy to try and kill a speedster, because, somebody would hire him to do so. So I say we introduce all of that. With all the 6 of them makes a 6 different man team of people, of misfits or ex-villains already beaten and band together, led by Mockingbird, who we all know who it is, whose identity can remain a mystery, which can bridge the shows together even more. Because if you know who Mockingbird is, she's already been introduced, and you already know that with that she can be on this, with her identity hidden for a while. And with that, my final comes to hero references that they can use. Other heroes that could be introduced, like Arrow, and Felicity, and Black Canary, and Zatanna, Steel, Booster Gold, Black Lightning. You have a whole diverse team of superheroes that you can possibly add into TV shows to start out with, and then evolve them into movies. So that's what I'm hoping that this show also introduces. Now with 2 shows on the CW, we can basically see a lot more references, and basically hopefully DC takes the thing out of Marvel's book and uses smaller introductions in TV shows, or smaller introductions and origins to get taken out of the way. That way, when the movies come out and they're all put together, there's no need for origins. It's just, we're slapped together, we argue amongst ourselves until we finally realize we're a team. And that's what moviegoers like to see. I like to see origins too, but I already know the origins, so I don't necessarily have to see them. But I'm really excited for the Barry Allen Flash TV show coming out in 2015. I really can't wait to see what they're going to do with this 3rd episode appearance. I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to another comic stand with me and Spider-Man here. If you liked it, please give me a big thumbs up for my rings, and give me a thumbs up for all the information and stuff. I will catch you guys next week for more. Don't forget to geek out and enjoy your lives, and always remember to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.